Hey gardeners, I am doing some garden cleanup, and oftentimes I dig up the edges of garden beds and get clumps of grass and weeds, but I like to repurpose it. So come with me and let me show you what I'm thinking. I'm collecting this turf that I dug up recently and moving it to this berm garden to expand this bed. My current idea is to expand this bed even larger. I started that pile of turf, grass, and weeds there to expand it, but I think I'm going bigger. So to give you an idea of the shape, it would curve outward over here and then becomes a little more linear here. And that just helps me with cutting the lawn. It's easier for me to cut the lawn in a straight path than it is for me to go around too many curves. So this would give me so much more planting space and help me achieve my goal of getting rid of more of this lawn. Here's the view from this side. So I would just continue the curve along this berm bed back towards the backyard. Maybe eventually I'll carry it to the backyard, but this is the before. I was thinking about moving that soil, but that's more work. And I'm really not trying to create additional work for myself. So I'm gonna start step one with digging out the trench for the outline of this bed. This is a rough draft of the shape. I'm not really feeling this. I need to decide on the actual shape of this bed. Maybe if I pull this a little further this way, there's a bed on that side that's similar to this, but this one will be much wider. I think I'll be okay with that. Not bad, not bad. That didn't take long. It's an overcast day, so I'm not winded. This long sleeve shirt is getting to me, but I'm okay. I feel more comfortable in a long sleeve shirt sometimes. But I was able to repurpose the turf, soil, and weeds that I dug up the other day. I'm going to show you where I'm going to get more soil from to add to this berm. So what I've done, this trench that I dug out, you see all that grass and weeds, I'm just flipping that over. And as I go through this process of digging up this turf, it allows me to brainstorm and think through some things. So I have actually created a berm without covering it with newspaper and cardboard before. And since this is going to be unleveled, I'll get as much soil and turf as I can from around the garden to fill in these spots, but I know it will be a little unleveled, and I prefer to do my sheet mulching when it's on level ground. Let me show you where I'm going to find more turf. So I did promise in a previous video that I would show you a garden that is even more neglected than Juvie. And that is my north side garden, where all these beautiful hydrangeas live, but they don't get the love they deserve. There's so many weeds and things over here. They don't get the love they deserve because they are on this side of my garden. Over here by my air conditioning unit, lots of weeds, lots of stuff going on, and we won't even talk about the other side of that AC unit. But these are clumps of soil and turf that I've dug up previously, and I just stuck them here because I didn't have any place else for them to go. Well, now I do. So my next thing is to pick up these clumps and transport them over to this new bed. First, I'll try to just pick up as many of these clumps as I can. If they have already grown into the ground, if the roots have already settled in, I'll have to pull out my shovel. Ooh, that's beautiful. Let me give you a close-up. So this was all grass, all green grass. And I dug this up a while back. I can't even remember what bed I dug it from, but it has already started to decompose. This is perfect plant material. So I'll take this over to the new bed. So we have a few more spots to fill in, and I will say that with sheet mulching, you can actually plant first and then sheet mulch around the plants that you have just installed. What I'll do with this area is wait a month or two to let things settle in after I top this with topsoil and compost before I plant anything into it. When I sheet mulch, I like for the grass to decompose completely, or I just plant first and then sheet mulch around anything that is newly installed. All right, gardeners, I'm gonna try not to overdo it, but I started digging up the edge of that bed and I'm transporting that soil here. And I'll do a couple more rounds, but I am starting to get a little tired. So, like I said, I won't overdo it, but I'll dig up just a few more clumps to lay here. I'd like to get all of this fresh green grass covered. And then my next step will be to top this with compost. If I can find more newspaper, I know my dad has some at his house, but that's almost 2 hours away. But if I can find some newspaper, or I'm not purchasing any contractor's paper, I'm not spending money on cardboard, but I'd like to cover up a few of these clumps a little bit before I put the topsoil on top of it. But we'll see. I know once I put the topsoil and a thick layer of mulch on top of this, that it will suppress those weeds well enough for me to keep up with weeding. So, all right, let me do a couple more rounds. So these are some really big clumps that I was able to dig up from that side of the garden. And you can see that heavy red clay soil. I'm laying it down on the grass side, and I'm covering up as much of this as I can. It is July 5th. I'm going into the shed to see how much cardboard I can recover. I have gathered my cardboard, and luckily I have a couple of sheets of regular cardboard paper, and I have these pre-cut sheets of cardboard. A friend of mine works at a facility that has all of these pre-cut sheets of cardboard, so she lovingly gives them to me, so I'm very happy about that. I would usually have a box cutter to do my cutting and getting the shape right, but I can't find it, so I have some scissors. I'll be doing a lot of overlapping, and I'll use the paper to help cover some of those exposed edges. Let's get started. All right, gardeners, I was able to get the cardboard in place. I started putting down some compost and topsoil to keep the cardboard in place, and more so to keep the mulch in place once I'm able to come through and cover this entire area with mulch. And even this stage I think is beautiful because I really see gardening as art. It takes work to get your art to where you want it to be. And this is just a stage. This is just a phase of getting this garden bed, this Berm garden bed, to where I want it to be. Some of the things I had to take into account as I was putting down the cardboard was the thickness of some of this cardboard. I wanted to make sure that I put those really thick layers of cardboard on the most flat surfaces, or the flattest surfaces, and then use the newspaper, the paper bags, the cardboard sheets to round out the edges, because that's a lot easier to bend and move, and especially once it's been hit with water, it makes those areas a lot easier to manipulate. And I've connected it to this Berm bed, and yes, you see the weeds in this Berm bed, and they don't bother me at all. I'll come through and pick those. But this bed was created using the Berm method as well. I covered it with newspaper, topped it with topsoil, and with mulch. So this is an extension of that bed. Today is July 6th. I just put down 2 bags of mulch to start the process of mulching this entire area. I did dig out the edge of this. There was an ant nest here and some grass, so the ants aren't very happy with me right now. But I'm going to backfill just this space right here with some more topsoil, and then put a little more compost, since I did dig up that ant nest. And this section took 2 bags of mulch, so I'm estimating that I need about 8 more bags of mulch. So I have 3 on hand, and I will work on getting some more mulch over the next couple of days. A few people have asked what is my preferred mulch. I really like using the pine bark mulch. I have a bag of the mulch that they use color on, or ink, and that's okay if I get it on clearance, but I prefer this. It's just a lot more natural to me and doesn't smell so horrid. So I'm a fan of the pine bark mulch. The easiest process for me to move mulch is to go ahead and dump the bags of mulch into my wheelbarrow and then dump it onto the sheet mulched area. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm just spreading this mulch real thick. I mean, probably 3 inches thick, maybe 4 in some cases. But I will water this in, again, keeping the cardboard moist so that it can start the decomposition process. So far, this is 4 bags of mulch, and we still need more. Good morning, gardeners. Here's an update on the progress of the new berm bed. The cardboard is down. I've started the process of mulching. Mulching is my least favorite thing to do, if I haven't mentioned it, but it's necessary when you do sheet mulching. So I will be grabbing some more discount bags of mulch. And yes, I have used delivery services before, and the free wood chips. I've used that before, but I'm going to buy some discount mulch, so yeah. It is August 9th. I've been letting the berm settle in, and I did some edging here along the berm today, and I'll come back and finish out the edging here. But it is settling in nicely. I do walk on top of it to compact the soil just a little bit because some of those chunks of soil that I put in here were not leveled. So I don't have a problem with stepping on this area right now. It's rained so much, so this area has really started to settle. So I wanted to do this update today to show you how we're looking August 9th, 2023.